All right. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Kingdom of the Kael Isles. Yes, this is my custom D&D campaign where, I make up stuff and then these guys react to it and they hope that I don't kill their characters, which is my entire purpose in life. So to bring you guys up to speed a little bit on what's been happening, these guys finally made it to Draconis. They met an Eladrin there, which they were very surprised about, and have been formulating a strategy as far as what to do as far as fighting the Eladrin, who now have this very significant military power in the fact that they have airships and nobody else in this world does. So you guys are starting to gather allies and stuff like that, and are going to meet with them on Kael Isle, the major kind of island that the Platinum City is located on, with a bunch of representatives from different groups of people to basically talk about what's going on. Fade, I did get your email. I'm going to whisper you the results of it in Roll20. I just have to remember that. So while I'm doing that, you guys were able to take the night to rest. In order for you guys to make the rendezvous, you're going to have to leave. You've been told that you're going to have to leave relatively soon. Now, it took you guys days to get down here from Iza Norai.
The Dragonborns.
Yeah, and you still have to ask you still have to talk to the Dragonborn themselves. But you've been told that you theoretically, because the meeting itself is, I think, like a day away tops or something like that now.
I thought it was 4 days.
Is it 4?
I
It's
don't
been
think
a
any
long
time's
time,
passed
folks.
to set it up. But I think we said 4 days we'll all meet here.
Okay, so yeah, you guys do know that generally by ship it would take you more than 4 days to get to that area.
Oh, yeah.
But whatever reason, your guest or your the Eladrin here. Somebody remind me of their name. My brain is really, really bad.
Either Talon or
Talon.
Tolan.
There we go.
Talon. Okay.
Or it's technically Talon, or that's how I've been trying to pronounce it. But it'll pronunciation will change randomly throughout the night.
Cool.
Because
Sounds
my
good.
brain isn't working. So Talon has mentioned that don't worry about it. He can make sure to get you there on time without telling you how. So
Sure.
you guys can infer whatever you want from that. So it is the next day. You basically have enough time to speak to the Dragonborn, and then you're basically going to have to prepare to go because you're going to be so close to the Platinum City. It's probably going to be you guys have this meeting and then go from this meeting to war, basically, if that's what you guys decide. So as far as preparations that you guys want to make before you meet with the leader of the Dragonborn, what are you guys thinking?
Well, I wanted to specifically, Fade looks at Kata and says, you are kind of like our wild card, the ace in the hole. I don't know if you've ever played cards before, but you're kind of a big deal and biggest surprise in this battle. So do whatever you feel is right, but don't hesitate, because you acting quickly and decisively, I think will, whatever comes, because they're never going to see you coming. You're quite a large bundle in a small package. No offense, Willow.
None taken.
So that's just my thoughts on there. I mean, We know we're going to be going to fight soldiers, and essentially the head of, as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to have to eke out every advantage we can. Avok, you kind of just smash stuff. That's your move. I think you get to, if you need help somewhere or you see something develop during this fight, just call out and I'll do my best to get your back as much as I can to help the three of you be successful in this. Willow, there will be a time for you to bring your full spell power to bear. Try to give me 6 seconds worth of warning so that I can assist you in that endeavor.
All right.
And this all, I mean, I'd probably go into a little bit more detail on the trip up to the Dragonborn, but
Okay.
that's the gist of what Fade needs to get across to everybody else.
Makes sense. With the rest of you guys, anyone have anything they want to say? Fade, in Roll20 chat, I have sent you a whisper. So if you want to open it up, that's where I will answer your inquiries from before. Okay.
Do I have any idea what kind of magic user Talon is? Like, is he also a wizard?
Go ahead and roll an Arcana check.
Okay. Oh, shit. Well, it's a good first roll. That's a 1.
Okay.
Oh.
As
Yeah.
far as specifics, you haven't thus far seen a spell book around. However, you know, Eladrin, magic user, wizards in general are very protective of their spell book.
Sure.
Eladrin even more so.
Fair.
So it's theoretically possible that he might be a wizard, or he might be a sorcerer. You don't get the warlock vibe from him,
Fair.
and he's
Didn't
definitely
think
not
so.
a bard.
Okay.
Despite his very charismatic nature, he bardic magic, while it's still arcane, there's a music to it that he simply isn't using. It's obviously that. So beyond that, you don't know. Unfortunately, you're just he's so unique, and the magic that he uses is very much every spell he has used thus far has been something that has been so heavily customized by him to fit his particular spellcasting style that it's difficult for you to identify a lot of the spells, much less what school of magic he adheres to or anything like that.
Okay. One more background question. Did he have some sort of library like area that I would have had access to?
You didn't ask, so you don't know.
Fair. Okay.
It may be something that you can ask him, but as of right now, you have not asked, and the only parts of his estate you've been given access to are the rooms that you guys sleep in, and then that dining hall that you guys were in before, and I think the kitchen where you guys had that brilliant frozen concoction.
Yes. Just a clarification. Are we already walking to see the Dragonborn, or are we still like in his home?
I will let you guys decide that. You guys could all be meeting before you've even gone to meet him, just outside of your rooms if you want.
I mean, if we have the time, I'd love to ask him if there's any books that I can be reviewing for the time that we're on our journey. Any new tricks or spells or anything, that sort of thing.
So, do you want to do this before you go meet with the Dragonborn or afterwards?
If we'll have time afterwards, I'm fine doing it afterwards. It was just, it seemed like we were going to go there and then go immediately. So.
Okay. when you make mention of that to Talon, he does mention he has a very extensive arcane library that you're more than welcome to rifle through. If we have, or he says when after we're done meeting with the Dragonborn, we'll have a little bit of time. Which again
Absolutely.
doesn't make a lot of sense to you because you guys already should be cutting it pretty close.
Though I do know there are
Yeah,
transportation
there's
matters.
transportation magic. Nothing generally that can transport you to a random place or a very specific place without a teleportation circle. So,
Fair. Okay.
so you again, he's shown mastery of magic that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
So,
I'm curious, but I trust it. All right, that's all I had.
okay. Anyone else have stuff they want to say to the party or anything? I am typing things to Fade right now in Whisper. So if I seem distracted, it's because I'm doing two things at once.
Fade's just gonna kind of look at Avok and good luck in all of this. This is, if it's me or you, you're gonna survive. Just know that. So get to that machine. Get to Christopher. Protect our buddy here.
Hey, shut up. We're gonna survive too.
We'll see. Here's hoping, right?
We'll get through this. Anywho, Avok is gonna walk off and he's gonna go find the head servant girl.
Okay. You have very
Yeah.
little trouble finding it. She's waiting at the end of the hall, basically, for you guys. There's always a servant posted at the end of the hall for you guys. Not so much as a guard as much as it is if you need anything. That's what they're there for.
Alright. I'm trying to remember her name. Like, does anyone remember her name? Because
Adrian?
there's.
Adriana?
Was it?
Yeah, I want to say
Adriana?
it's Adrian or Adriana or something like that.
Adriana sounds right, I think.
Adriana
Is-
sounds right
is-
to me.
Yeah.
Adriano, the gelato guy?
No, that is a different person. Adriana is the female kind of head of staff, and she's been kind of your personal guide through most of this. You've dealt with other staff members, but Adriana, because again, you guys are kind of VIPs. You've been dealing mostly with basically the head of the household. If you're familiar with that title, she's been dealing with you personally. So
Right.
She's Julie Chen.
I don't know that reference actually.
I'm glad you don't. We'll move on.
I feel bad that I don't. What is this referencing?
She's the host of Big Brother, and they have a head of
Oh
household
yeah, no,
competition.
I don't watch. Now I don't
See,
feel
we
so
should've
bad.
moved
I
past
was
it.
thinking
We
it was
should've
like some
moved
like
on.
cult classic or something. No, it's Big Brother. Never mind.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so Avok's just gonna walk up to her. Oh, I am still reading this. Uh, so, how are you?
This is to Adriana.
Yes.
She kind of sits there. I'm fine, Sir Avok. Is there something I can do for you?
I mean, not really. I'm just trying to strike a comfort conversation. Yeah. Um,
If you require companionship, I can send one of the servants off to find someone for you.
oh, no. That's not. No, no. Um,
The staff here is not permitted to provide that particular service. But
I mean, obviously you're working, but like when you're not working, like,
oh,
what do you do?
oh, well, there's it's just like it's just so that Master Talon keeps me very busy, and I I did you hear that? Yes. Be right there, Master Talon. I'll you, and she snaps her finger, and another person comes over that you couldn't see because they were around the corner. Anything they need, provide it to them, and you see her face is a little bit flush, even under like the gold paint and everything. You can see her face gets a little bit flush as she kind of very hastily walks away, and there's this man standing there going, "Yes, sir. What can I do for you?"
Like standing there, and yeah, apparently Fade walks by and handed him a bowl of chocolate ice cream.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go with that.
So you now have a bowl of chocolate ice cream
In the shape of a heart.
in the shape of a heart.
Aww.
She's walked away at this point, so
I
you're
know.
sitting there with a heart-shaped chocolate ice cream, with this guy looking at you, looking at the ice cream, looking at you again, looking at the ice cream, going, "Sir, is there something sir would like?
Just
Something that I can provide? Because there are many things that I cannot provide you, sir."
enjoy. Avok hands him the ice cream and walks away.
And he just kind of looks at it, and you see him kind of look around, trying to figure out what to do, and he shrugs and just starts eating the ice cream. So weird conversation. Some dude comes up to you, gives you heart-shaped ice cream. What are you gonna do? I mean, it's good ice cream.
That's fair. It's just like this whole scene was just so good. I'm like, anyways, that's right. That's my bet. So, yeah.
Any other prep work before you guys go to meet with Talon?
Has Kata ever talked to us about her flashes of the Platinum City from when she was a young child? I know you've had them, but have our characters talked about that at all?
Technically, she's never had flashes of the Platinum City. She didn't live there.
Okay.
She lived in another major Ladrin city. But I will leave that up to Kata if you've ever talked about that with the rest of the party.
I might have kept most of it secret. Well, except for the time I recognized the constellations.
Okay.
Understandable.
So you guys do know she's human. and she obviously was not born, in the wild. Beyond that, and she speaks an Eladrin dialect of Common, or she technically speaks Common with a slight Eladrin accent. So you would be able to infer that she probably learned to speak around Eladrin.
How old is Kata at this point?
18, 19?
So Devin, I believe she's the youngest member of the party by a fair amount.
Sounds about
Would
right.
you, out of character, would you say that she has come of age at this point with her travels with us?
Possibly.
Okay. There's a ritual I have to do before we go into battle then.
That's not ominous at all.
No, it's a good thing.
Okay.
It's literally called coming of age.
Oh, yeah. I think I know that spell.
And I feel like this would be a good time for that to happen.
Okay. Well, if you guys want, you've been told by your servants that Talon needs his beauty rest, and so he's sleeping in. So you guys have another hour or two before he's actually ready to go.
Now, is this going? Are we just assuming we've talked to the Dragonborn at this point?
No,
Or that's where we're going right now?
that's where you're going
Or
to
in
be
an
going
hour.
as soon as Talon wakes up.
Okay.
That's where you're going to go. The Dragonborn are the people you haven't spoken
Thank
to
you.
yet, because you spoke thus far. You've spoken to the Rangers and Soligny. You've spoken
Okay.
to who also mentioned that the surviving druids she can get in contact with, but there weren't many of them. You've talked to the pirate captain,
Yeah.
which was an interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys went to bed. So those are the two groups that you have spoken to thus far, because that was really all the time that you guys had last night.
The captain, the dwarf captain. Not
Oh yes, and the dwarf captain. So
And Spider.
you guys did not speak to the spiders. I remember that.
We retconned it. Okay.
Yeah,
sweet.
because you decided.
Oh yeah, I did it privately. That's what it was.
Yeah, you guys.
He
Did
sent
you
him a
do it
message.
privately?
Sent him a message and got a response purely in Spider.
Oh
we got
yeah,
it. He turned into a little click slave,
yeah.
and he clicked at me.
So you don't know. You're not 100% sure what that means, but
Yep.
that was the extent of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm pretty good here. Maybe I'll rummage around this guy's house, see if I can find anything cool and useful. His estate. I'll just go trespassing,
Yep.
digging my nose into shit.
As soon as you get to the end of the hallway, the servant's sitting there going, "Is there something I can help you with, sir?"
Yeah. Give me 55 minutes to walk around and calm myself and center my chi. And then he walks past them.
As you attempt to walk past, he kind of moves in front of you and goes, "Well, if sir would like, I can take him to the meditation garden, which is very lovely and serene, and you can walk around there to your heart's content. But Master Talon would prefer you not wandering the grounds of his estate unaccompanied."
That's fine. Can you take me to where I can shine my hammer and shield?
Of course.
Do you have a place that with wax and stuff for weapons and armor?
If you would prefer to shine your own armor, you of course have that option, sir. But I can have one of my men shine it for you. We are trained in maintenance of weapons and armor. We have some among our staff who are trained in the maintenance of weapons and armor. They could do that for you if you would prefer, sir.
Okay, I'll let you know. And I pretend like I wasn't going anywhere and go back to my room, I guess.
Okay.
Because we're prisoners in this dude's house, whether he's going to tell us that or not.
Or he just doesn't trust us.
Well, he shouldn't.
Yeah.
We're horrible people.
Speak for yourself.
That's
Fair. Let me rephrase. I'm a horrible ladron. I can't.
Yeah, but not to Willow, you're not.
No, she's alright.
Avok's gotten used to, but he still thinks you're a piece of shit. And in an endearing way, of course.
Uh-huh.
Well, if we have nothing we really need to do, then I'm probably just making tiny clockwork little toys and just practicing tinkering and setting them on the ground and hopefully delighting Kata with like a little cat.
So after wasting, like I said, about an hour-ish, you are summoned by Adriana, who seems to have regained her composure and seems to be having a difficult time making eye contact with Avok. But the rest of you, she kind of brings you back to the dining hall you were in before. You can see there's food laid out and things like that for kind of like a brunch type meal. Seeing as it's well after breakfast and very, very close to lunchtime at this point. So you have some, sweet baked goods there. You have some meats and proteins and other things like that. So you see Talon sitting there, already seated. And he stands up as you come in and he kind of gestures to the chairs. Come then, let us eat before we're off to see the Dragonborn.
Timing-wise, timeline, like we're going to meet these guys and then are we going right away if they say yes, or do we have some time after that stuff?
You don't know yet.
Oh, I thought you said we would have time after.
Willow, when you asked about going to the library, he said, yeah, we'll have time after. You're the only person that's asked.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, Fade, the only thing that you know is that you're going to meet the Dragonborn today, and you guys haven't asked for more beyond that. So, if you want to ask him, like, during brunch, you are more than welcome to continue to pick his brain. He thus far has been very forthcoming with all of his information.
Avok's just stuffing with all the lovely bacon.
So, do we have a plan for speaking with the Dragonborn and potentially appeasing the pirate captain's desires? Some of them, anyway.
I'm sorry, what did you say? I was distracted for a second.
I know, basically just to the group asking if we have a plan when talking to the Dragonborn to see if they'll actually open trade with the pirate captain, because otherwise things could go really badly for us.
You asked this at brunch, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. Talon kind of interrupts and goes, "Oh, darling, don't worry about it. I am more than capable of setting up trade between this pirate captain, as you call him, and the Dragonborn. If we can, the real thing will be convincing them to go to this meeting, and that we can actually take out the Eladrin. To be honest, opening up trade negotiations, that will be simple."
Well, I should hope so. I hopefully don't need to remind you of the pirate captain's terrifying device that I do not wish to witness again.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens when we meet with him. Are there any other questions the rest of you might have?
Avok's like, I'm good.
Yeah, Kata's probably like the same way. She just wants to eat.
Okay.
I will ask him if he has any other allies that he might be able to trust, or if Christopher was the only one that he imagines would still be around.
Oh, the rest of the ruling council, as we used to be called, are all dead or forgotten. I sincerely doubt. The only reason I was able to get away from him is well, he may think that I am no longer of this world. I was rather clever when I left. Christopher is not one to leave loose ends about, so I assumed the rest of the ruling council had all been devoured by his lust for power years ago.
I understand.
There's no chance that any of the others could have pulled the same trick.
Oh, I sincerely doubt it. I was by far the most clever of our brethren. I was one of the reasons that Christopher kept me so close. I could generally tell a betrayal was going to happen before anything really bad happened. That was actually how we lost the first of the ruling council. A rather powerful sword master who had come through with us in the original invasion had started to feel that the power was going to Christopher's head and had started staging a coup. And being the loyal friend and ally that I was, I decided to warn my friend that there was a traitor among us, and he was taken care of. We lost 3 more of the original 8 that way before I got smart enough and got out of there. And the rest of them, again, thinking I was dead, probably would have been too scared to do anything until he killed them. I mean, I guess it's possible one of them might be alive, but the likelihood of me being able to contact them is abysmally small. It's a miracle you were able to find me. I took great pains to hide my presence from any sort of detection. And with the kind of standoffishness of the Dragonborn, I doubted Eddie Aladrin would ever be able to get past the gates, much less come into the city and annoy one of the local governors. Kudos to you on that, by the way.
You mentioned something yesterday that I've been thinking about a lot. You said that Christopher must be using the machine improperly, or something could be wrong with it. Is there your machine? I'm not trying to pry for information about it, but does it have a weak point or something that we could do to turn it to aid us in the upcoming battle? Or at least cut him off of it?
I designed it specifically to enhance his power, and it's a very complicated machine, so the likelihood of you being able to it's simply not possible for you to be able to turn it against him. It was designed specifically for that to not happen. However, it is an incredibly powerful machine, and a lot of power runs through it in a very specific fashion so that that much power does not destroy the machine. There are probably 100 different ways you could damage it in a way that that power no longer goes where it's supposed to, and the whole machine will be destroyed. However, with that much power going through it, if you do it the wrong way, a large portion of the Platinum City will go along with it, possibly all the way out to Les Lenora.
No good.
Again, we're talking about a machine that has been draining the life force uh, of everyone in the Kael Isles for centuries and has cut off all interplanar travel and communication. This is not something that you would find in your local magic shop.
Well, if it's such a delicate process, then do you think? I don't know if you have schematics still. Could you do them from memory? Something that I could study to try and have a plan or a couple of plans?
I know the inner workings of the machine like the back of my hand. However, how do I put this politely? I have made one mistake. I don't plan on making another. I think you are lovely people, and I certainly wish you the best in your endeavors, but I don't know you, and to give anyone that sort of power again would be a mistake. It
That
was
is
a
true.
mistake when I did it the first time, so while I could recreate the blueprints, I
Incomplete.
won't.
Incomplete ones. Just enough so that we can have a
I
chance of not blowing up the city.
I will tell you what you need to know to prevent the city from blowing up. But I won't go beyond that. Unfortunately, the danger of someone as clever as you are being able to reverse engineer even a part of the process is far too great.
Oh,
No,
I understand.
this idea will end when I end.
I respect that. Thank you.
Any other questions before we go to the see the Dragonborn?
How do you say hello in Dragonborn?
Well, it's rather a guttural language compared to the other magical language. Like Sylvan is such a flowing, free-moving language. It's almost like dancing with your tongue. Draconic is much more percussive, and he teaches you the Draconic word for hello, which I'm not going to attempt to even pretend I can do right now. But it sounds kind of a mixture between German and Russian. If you want to get kind of a feeling for the vocal quality, whereas Sylvan has much more of kind of a French lean to it.
Are there any precautions we need to take for the trip to see them? Are we going
To
to
see
be
the
assaulted on the
Dragonborn?
road?
No, you're with me. They would not dare damage any of my guests. Again, I am very good friends with the Lord Commander of the Dragonborn.
I don't doubt that, but we, they almost killed us when we got here,
Well,
even with you telling them not to.
that's because you were enemies. Again, perhaps you have forgotten that the Eladrin attempted to exterminate the Dragonborn not too long ago. I mean, it may have been well before your time, but there are some of us here that can remember those times, though they are very few. The Dragonborn have been able to insulate themselves from the draining power of the machines, so. And they also didn't have to deal with the fact that the Eladrin rewrote history to kind of change a few of the details of the original Conquering War. All the Dragonborn are taught all the gory details of the war in school when they're children. So they were naturally apprehensive when Eladrin and his human pals and gnomish companion came to their door. And when their defenses didn't work on it, they were even more suspicious because they haven't seen technology like that before.
Have you?
To be honest, it's simply been described to me. I don't know exactly what it was, though I would like to examine the device if I can one day. Sounds intriguing. It's given me some ideas, but it would take me quite a bit of time to create something that does what these people described.
Of course.
I'll say this openly at the table, but I'm going to look over at Willow. Can you think of any way we could make some kind of mechanical device, like to give a pulse, like an anti-magic pulse or something to disable that thing? Like it has its own field that shuts us down. Can we do something? Fight back against it?
Well, there's always things like anti-magic fields. They're generated naturally by the main eye of a beholder. So they do occur in nature and things like that, but not knowing how this magic item works, I couldn't tell you if casting an anti-magic field would prevent it from activating or not. Again, I'd have to examine the item. Beyond that, there are currently no ways I am aware of to selectively disenchant a magic item for any period of time.
Very well.
Anti-magic field is a rather high-level spell. It's something that I'm not sure even someone as talented as Willow is quite yet ready to undertake.
Well, thank you for your insights.
Oh, of course. I love solving problems and coming up with unique solutions. Unfortunately, there are certain solutions that require more information before a proper solution can be formulated. Well, are we all ready?
I think so.
Perfect. Now, it will take entirely too long for us to travel all the way into the center of the capital, especially with the traffic as it is right now. So if you would all please follow me. And he gets up and just starts walking through a door that you didn't actually see. It's built into the wall. So if you ever seen like I think it's the Oval Office where the doors are like parts of the wall, that kind of thing. And so he just goes, opens this door, and walks through it, and the door remains open. And you see a couple servants just kind of stand by the door waiting for you guys.
I walk through.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys go, as soon as you get in, you notice a set of stairs, and you start going down. And you guys know that the area that you're in is on the water. And you guys go down like 30, 40, 50 feet. You realize you are now below sea level. And you eventually, it opens up into this kind of musty cavern with a large glowing circle in the center of it. The cavern itself is only about 25 by 25 feet and is roughly circular shaped, with the circle in the center being taking up most of the room. It's about 15 by 15, or a 15-foot radius, or not radius, diameter circle. So.
Do I recognize this?
It's a teleportation circle. It's a larger one than you're used to seeing. Generally, the ones that you see are a little bit smaller, like normally like 10-foot radius max. So this one's a little bit bigger. But it's obviously a teleportation circle. He kind of gestures, "Please step into the circle, if you would be so kind."
Willow steps right in.
Okay.
Goes behind.
Yes.
Avox hesitant, but he walks in.
All right. So he gets in there, and you see him start incanting magic words, and then you guys feel the kind of static electricity feeling that you get when when I lose my broadcasting signal.
Oh dear.
There we go. Or when magic starts being cast and you guys start to see this kind of bright light, and it kind of fills your entire vision. And then when the bright light fades, you're in a very well lit room that looks like it's carved out of marble. The walls themselves are very smooth. The ground itself is polished marble, and you can see a similar but different teleportation circle on the ground there. And you also see Dragonborn leveling glaives at you as Talon goes, "Oh, for... by the gods, you're all jumpy. Exactly how many people do you know that have access to this teleportation circle that are going to just teleport into one of the most heavily guarded fortresses in the entirety of Draconis? I mean, really. Every time I come here, it's pointy thing in my face here, pointy thing in my face there. I would think you would have gotten used to it by now." And you hear from the far end of the room, "Well, if you ever followed protocol and actually warned us that you were coming, we would be much better prepared." "Ah, my good friend, how have you been?" "Oh, I was doing wonderful until you showed up. Now my entire day is ruined." "Oh, you're far too kind." And they come over and they kind of have a brief kind of hug. You can tell that they're kind of joking with each other. "It seems that you've brought other people with you. Exactly who are these?" "Oh, these are the people that are going to overthrow the Eladrin Empire." And he just kind of looks at him and goes, "Oh, yes, I was planning on doing that next Thursday. But if they want to do it today, I'm more than happy to allow that." And then there's just kind of silence for a little bit. And he looks at Talon. He's like, "You're not serious." "Oh, I'm afraid I'm quite serious. As ragtag as they may look, they are rather impressively clever, if I do say so myself. So, we would like to speak to the Lord Commander about how you would like to be remembered in this rather world-changing event." Well, I am Sidon, and he does this deep bow. He goes, I am advisor to the Lord Commander, Valenrath. He, who has been ruling for 30 years. And you, and I mean, you are?"
I'm Willow.
"Well, it's certainly nice to meet you, Willow, and your silent friends.
Yes.
Let me announce you. Well, Talon, by the gods, you need to warn me before you do these things. Ah!" And you see him just rush away in a hurry. And you see Talon turn around to you guys and goes, "I love doing that to him." He's entirely too hung up on protocol anyway. Come. We're supposed to wait for him to bring us, but it's much more fun to just show up behind him. And he starts walking. And you watch and see the guards start moving towards him, and then both look at each other and just go, and go back to their posts. What are you guys going to do?
I will follow like a couple feet behind him just in case.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to get left behind.
Okay.
I will follow, highly amused.
Okay.
I'd like to just keep my eyes open to see if there's any type of religious symbolism anywhere here.
Sure.
See if
Make
these
a
guys.
perception check.
I don't know.
101.
I don't know anything about these guys. So I roll. Yeah, that's great. A 9 plus 6, 15.
Looking around, you don't see anything religious. You're relatively well versed in the holy symbols of the gods of this world. You don't see anything that remotely looks like them. You do see. Do you speak Draconic?
No,
Okay.
I
You
Yeah,
do
the
see-
one
can
who
if I
can-
need to.
Elaine does, right?
you do see which you can tell is Draconic writing because you've been surrounded by it since you've been here. You've no idea what it is, but it looks Draconic. Beyond that,
Okay.
you don't really see a whole lot of symbols. Like there's big tapestries that are hanging in banners and things like that. Some of them have words on them. Some of them just have like kind of like a coat of arms that you assume belongs to the Lord Commander. Yeah. Beyond that, if you want to ask Elaine, due to the fact that he speaks Draconic, you can.
Yeah, I'll nudge him around and point some of those tapestries out and some of the things I just simply don't understand.
He looks around and he goes, "They're proper nouns that I don't recognize. So they're names of things."
Okay.
Beyond that, again, you might, if you want to roll an insight check, you can try to infer what they might be. But
With his help, I will roll 15.
okay. So yeah, you get the idea that the area that you're walking through has the coat of arms of the ruler, in this case the Lord Commander, and has the various proper nouns in certain places. You think it's theoretically possible this might be the name of either former Lord Commanders. It could be just important people in their culture. Yeah, there's no map or anything in here that would hint that these are geographic locations, like the names of cities or anything. So your best guess is that this is probably you're walking through a hall that honors somebody. You know, it'd
Okay.
kind of be like if
And
you
then-
speak French and you walk into a room that's got a bunch of French names everywhere. Yeah, you might be able to read them. You've no idea what they mean, though.
Sure. And then one last thing. Are there any windows that we're walking by so that we can get a glimpse of what's outside?
Lots and lots and lots. This building itself, you can see some sconces that are unlit right now. The building itself is lit right now entirely by natural light. So you guys can see you're relatively high up, like you could see a sprawling city outside these. They're really, really large openings that don't have glass or anything in them. So you're theoretically, if it was to get cold in this area, it would probably be unpleasant in this particular part because this is kind of open air. You have a ceiling above you, but the windows are just these huge, probably about 30-foot high, kind of rectangular holes in the wall that give you a pretty breathtaking look. And they're spaced about every like 5 to 10 feet. So you're never very far from being able to look out over this sprawling city that goes on to the horizon and further.
Okay. Pretty cool place. Look at
Yes,
Ava. Do you
isn't
wanna
it?
go for a flight?
The Dragonborn themselves, they may be a little bit stuck on tradition, but you have to admit their architecture is hard to beat. Even Eladrin architects could learn something from them. Though, I have to admit, I do miss floating portions of the city and things like that. I've always enjoyed that about Eladrin architecture, how they'd make pillars and towers and things just float with magic. I think it's a very bold design choice that the Dragonborn simply seem to not care for.
Well, I think the Elijah might have stolen that technology also. That arcane technology.
No, that's traditional Eladrin architecture. I remember seeing it. Well, we can talk about that some other time. It's been centuries since I've been there. And you see him get a little bit sad for a moment, and then immediately back to his kind of perky, over-the-top self. We're nearly there. Watch this. And as you guys get closer, you can hear kind of a heated conversation going on, and you see a door that's partially open. And you watch as Talon just kind of bursts into the door and goes, "Hello there, Lord Commander. I'm certain you are pleased to see me." And as the door opens, you see a dragonborn with brass scales, wearing what looks like a very elaborate set of armor that has various precious metals all over. You can see silver and gold and brass and trying to think of the other ones. Basically, every metallic dragon, you can see representations of him in this armor. And you can see a helmet sitting on like a dais next to him that has a similar motif of all these different metallic dragon colors. And as he goes in, he goes, Tolan, I have told you this many times before. I have been the Lord Commander for 30 years. You have not been my teacher for more than 45 years. You cannot come into my chambers unannounced. Oh, Valenrath, calm down. It's not like I'm here to kill you. And as he says that, you guys watch the guards that are in various places immediately kind of stiffen and kind of move their weapons towards him. And you see Valenrath just sit there. Sidon has been telling me that you have brought people who are going to overthrow the Eladrin Empire. I'm assuming that is you, and you see him looking past Talon to you guys.
Hello.
Well, come in here then. I'm not going to shout.
Oh.
I walk in.
Okay.
Me too.
And you guys are kind of led by the guards that are in there to in front of his throne. The chamber itself is relatively large. It's about 50 feet wide and looks to be about 200 feet deep. With a huge set of double doors at the far end. And it's carpeted and just really, really elaborate. It has a center carpet and everything else is polished marble. There is kind of steps leading up to a dais where his throne sits, and you can see a slightly smaller throne next to his that nobody is currently in right now. And Talon is standing on the steps, and Sidon is standing next to him on the opposite side from the other throne, with his hand in his head in his hands, just shaking. So, I guess introductions are in order. My name is Valenrath. I am the Lord Commander of Draconis. I've held this position for 30 years. I took over for my father. Who is it that is addressing me?
I just look at Talon.
Oh, I'm not going to introduce you. That's your job. Do I look like a servant?
It's an honor to meet you, Lord Commander. My name is Willow. This is... well, I was going to introduce you unless you want to introduce yourself.
I am Kata. I awkwardly curtsy.
And you see, as you curtsy, he gives a slight, very regal bow to you.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Abe?
Yeah, I think once I see Kata introduced, I'll just kind of like stand up a little taller and just right on the chest with my super gauntlet and just kind of fade. Well met, sir.
Well met indeed. And you, human, your name?
Hello.
Yeah, I'm Avok. How you doing?
I recognize your brand. The mark of the ram that you wear on your back.
Okay, why is everybody always think it's a ram? It's a ball.
I apologize. The mark of the bull.
Wait, how did...
Your company was very well known to my men. I don't know if you know the history of your fighting force, but many, many years ago, in the time of my grandfather's grandfather, they clashed with draconic armies and dragonborn armies. They were formidable, to say the least.
I didn't even know the bull. I didn't even know the bull horns were at all. I thought my company was like the only. To be blunt, I'm the last one.
Well, I guess you can't really count on the Eladrin to keep with tradition, can you? And Talon goes, I've kept with tradition, yes, but you're an interesting case. Of course, I would never do anything plain, you know that. Yes. Now, what is this drivel about attacking the Eladrin? Anyone?
Well,
I guess it's my turn to talk then. These people here are not in the good graces of the Council of One. And they've made the decision that due to the recent technological advancements that I've told you about, that it's best that the Eladrin no longer have control of this area. And they've kindly volunteered to be the people that wrest control from him. And he was looking at Talon. He looks down at you. He goes, you realize that's moronic, right? Talon didn't tell you this was possible. You're not going off of his word, are you?
Well, to be honest, I'm kind of used to much. I'm a human meat shield. I mean, come on, I'm used to this.
Talon, what have you done to these poor creatures? I did nothing. They were the ones that came here with the idea to overthrow the Eladrin. You know me. I'm more than happy to stay here and teach young Lord Commanders their basics in arcane magic and numbers. If you bring that up one more time, oh, I retract it, I retract it. But they seem to have an idea, and after they described it to me, I think it's theoretically possible. But see, the thing about it is, we're going to sneak into the city and hijack one of the teleportation circles to take us directly to the Council of One, or rather, very close to him. I still remember the runes of his personal teleportation circle. Well, then why haven't you given me that information? I could send an entire legion of Dragonborn troops directly to his front door. Well, see, that's the problem. You can only access his personal teleportation system from inside the Platinum City. And all of the teleportation circles in the Platinum City are under heavy guard and would require you fighting through the entirety of the Eladrin Navy, their standing army. Oh, and then there's always that issue of the Council of One deciding to make a personal appearance. Yes, that's why we've never done it. How did these people think that they can do that when we can't? Well, there's less of them. One of them fits in slightly better than, well, let's say, the entirety of the Dragonborn race in Eladrin society. And we know of a relatively unguarded teleportation circle we might have access to. Well, then what do you need from me? Well, in order to do this, I'm going to have to modify a few things, which will take some time, and, well, we need a distraction to keep Christopher's attention. Oh, I'm sorry, the Council of One, that's what you would know him by. To keep his attention away from my little tinkering with the magic of his entire city. And that's where you come in. You're big, you're powerful, you make lots of noise, perfect for a distraction. I could kill you. You know that, right? You could certainly try. He turns to you guys. Tolan is interesting. He has interesting ideas from time to time. One of his more recent interesting ideas destroyed a city block. I need
Commander.
to hear from you. Do you think this is possible? You're the ones that will be going up against the most powerful being on this planet.
Whether or not I believe it is possible, I believe it must be done. I have seen, we all have seen, what the new weapon of the Eladrin can do. And if the Council of One is allowed to continue unchecked, these ships will cover the entirety of the Kael Isles. There will be nothing left until he feels safe, and I imagine it will be until he is the only one left. I cannot stand by and allow that to happen.
Willow, was it?
Yes.
You are wise for one so young.
Thank you.
However, I have a mighty army at my disposal, and any citizen of Draconis would gladly lay down their life for their Lord Commander if I commanded it. But I will not throw away the lives of my people simply for one of Tolan's good ideas.
Nor would I ask you to. Nor would any of us.
we will need more than the troops that I can muster. Any force large enough to make a significant impact in their forces would be seen days ahead of time. The Eladrin keep watch of the Great Dragon Gate. Unless you have other friends or another army you just happen to be hiding, my army could not provide you the distraction you are looking for.
We're close on that.
I mean, we have people that would like to speak with you.
Well,
I
they're
think
beating around the bush about it, so I guess I'll just come out and say it. We have created an alliance of sorts, but all of them basically have the same reservations you do. They're limited in number, they know the Eladrin are powerful, and they don't want to just go out and die. So we're having a little get-together in 3 days, outside of Ral and Theus. I'm sorry. Outside of a city that is remarkably close to the Platinum City itself. We're just going to meet with them. How do you intend for me to even get there without the Eladrin seeing? They completely control the seas. Listen, Valenrath. I can take care of our transportation. I can even bring with you a guard or two if that makes you feel better. This is just a little get-together so we can all have a good conversation about what we're going to do. And then we will go and kill off Christopher. Oh, I'm sorry, the Council of One. And do all that messy stuff. But first we have to get to an agreement with other people. And he turns back to you. Is this true?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I have heard reports of this new technology. I agree that it cannot be allowed to exist. I am willing to put myself in danger if it means helping some of the lesser races to resist. But I will not commit my forces until I have spoken with everyone involved. Nor would we expect you to. Trust me on this. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Why is it whenever I deal with you, you tell me I'm going to be pleasantly surprised? But it's true this time. When do we leave? Well, you have... Well, let's see. The meeting is in 3 days. We'll... Probably won't want to be right next to it when I... So it'll probably be... We have about 2 days before we need to leave. If you have other things that you'd like to do. Okay. I will prepare. I will bring an honor guard with me. Limit it to 2 people tops. It's going to take quite a bit of energy to teleport that many people, and I don't want to be teleporting a legion. Fine. I'll be ready. Meet me here, 2 days' time, noon exactly, and we will leave. Perfect! Oh, and you see him bow. Thank you ever so much, Lord Commander, for your extremely valuable time. And you watch the Lord Commander, again, just shake his head. Just leave. It's more insulting when you do that. Fine. Come along. And he kind of gestures for you guys.
More sincerely, I look at the Lord Commander and say, thank you, and give him a kind of bow, I guess.
And again, he gives a very kind of curt but regal-looking bow-ish, nod of the head thing. Mm-hmm. And you see him kind of as what's his face? Talon has walked out the door. You see him kind of move forward a little bit and speak in a slightly more hushed tone. Please, don't let him get you killed. He's not nearly as clever as he thinks he is. I heard that! I know.
Willow just
I'll
smiles.
see you in a few days. And he goes back to his chair and he starts having a much more hushed conversation with Sidon. And you guys start getting encouraged to leave with Talon.
I head that way.
Yeah.
I start to turn,
Mhm.
and then I look back and say, Lord Commander, do we have your leave to explore your city a little bit? I'm
Well,
specifically looking for any temples you might have. I have business.
well, I prefer an Eladrin not walk around my city unaccompanied. Even Talon has an honor guard. But I can have an honor guard show up to be your escort to any part of the city you wish to go. There are a few areas that will be off limits to you, but the temples will not be one
Of
of them.
course. Of course, I thank you. I give him the old arm salute and take a step backwards and then leave quickly.
Okay. The rest of you follow, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys go back to the teleportation circle. Talon goes, "Wasn't that fun?" Oh, he's such a delight when he's put off guard. Time to go. And he snaps his fingers and you guys are back in his estate. He's like, well, you have the rest of the day to yourselves. I have preparations I need to make.
Am I still allowed to?
Adriana, and he calls forward, you are to be their personal guide, servant, whatever it is that they need. And you see Adriana start to stammer. Well, sir, there's so many members of the household staff, and I, of course, would never want to leave you without someone to meet your every need and requirement. Adriana, these are my guests. I want them to simply have the best. Yes, sir. I will, and she turns to you guys, I will show you to your rooms then? Or would you prefer to go somewhere else?
Could you show me to the library, please?
Yes, and you hear her snap her fingers, and one of the other servants comes. If you would show the mistress to the library. And he goes,
Thank you.
yes, milady. And he comes over, mistress, and starts to take you off down a random hallway.
Okay.
The rest of you guys?
I'm looking specifically for, obviously, a temple. Talon wasn't super surprised when he saw my holy symbol when we first got here, so I want to see if that exists here in any form.
Okay.
Worship of her, or at least even the deities that the Eladrin worship, something that's recognizable.
So you make mention to Adriana about that, and the fact that you're going to have an honor guard escorting you around the city, and she says it'll probably take them probably half an hour to an hour to get to the residence. But as soon as they get there, you're free to wander the city wherever they want.
Okay, thank you.
Avok, Kata, anything you guys want to do? There's more ice cream in the kitchen.
What do you think?
Okay. Avok walks out to Adriana. Obviously, it was a military here. I'm assuming there's a training grounds of some sort nearby.
Well, depends on the kind of training that you're hoping to do.
Avok points to
Lord
the
Talon
map.
Physical.
has his own training area, but it's set up more for arcane practice than it is for weaponry. The nearest place you might be able to have weapon training would be the local garrison, which is about 3 hours away.
I can jog there.
You would, of course, need accompaniment while in the city.
Would you like to accompany me?
Well, I must make sure that your other friend here, I believe her name is Kata. Kata, I wouldn't want to leave you alone.
Hey,
Avok is giving you like the biggest like help me out here stare.
You need sparring partner?
Actually, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, definitely. I could use a sparring partner, please.
And you see kind of the expression on her face kind of realize, then I will take you to the local garrison. This way, please. And that is where we're going to end it for tonight. Wish I could go longer. I'm very much under the weather tonight, so unfortunately that's where we're going to end it. But tune in 2 weeks. We will have another episode of Kingdom of the Kael Isles right here at 9 p.m. Central Time. Otherwise, next week I have a brand new campaign starting. It's set in the same campaign setting as this one here, but it's on a completely different continent, completely different area, completely different tone. And that show is going to be called The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. So that starts next week. So please, please, please feel free to follow me here on Twitch if you want to watch it live. Otherwise, I upload all the episodes to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/TrainerJody. Due to the recent changes to the partner program, I am currently trying to retain my partner status. So if you are not subscribed over there, I do ask that you please go subscribe to the channel and please watch a couple episodes of of Kingdom of the Kael Isles or the Tyranny of Dragons campaign that I ran, anything like that. It will really, really help me in being able to keep my partner status, which as of right now I'm going to lose in about a month. So other than that, follow me on Twitter, and I guess I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.